Human gave alien girl his seat on last escape pod. 8 years later, she came back. The alarm screamed across the starship, shaking the metal walls with a sound that felt like it could split bones. Ethan Carter ran through the corridors, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Sparks flew from broken panels and smoke curled through the hallways, making it hard to see. The ship was under attack, and chaos had taken over every corner. Crew members shouted orders, some ran toward the escape pods, and others tried to fight back the intruders. Ethan had been working in the engineering bay when the attack began. 1 second, he was repairing a power conduit, and the next, the ship's warning lights turned red, and the ground shook as the first alien ships ripped through the outer hull. He could hear screams, explosions, and the sounds of metal bending and breaking. He knew there was little time. As he ran down the hall toward the escape pods, Ethan noticed movement near the side corridor. At first, he thought it was another crew member, but then he saw her. She was small, thin, and clearly terrified. Her skin shimmered with a violet glow, and her large, round eyes were wide with panic. Her long hair floated around her head in a strange, graceful way, and she clutched a small bag to her chest. Ethan slowed for a moment, studying her. The aliens attacking the ship were supposed to be dangerous, aggressive, and very strong. Yet here was a young alien girl, clearly not a soldier, clearly not ready for this. She was trapped. He ran to her. "Hey," he shouted over the alarms. "You can't stay here, come with me." The girl looked at him, fear and confusion in her eyes. I don't know how," she whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan took her hand. It was small, delicate, and surprisingly warm. "It's okay, I'll help you, come on. The escape pods are this way." She hesitated, then nodded. She followed him as he ran through the smoke-filled corridors. Around them, crew members were being thrown aside by explosions, and alien soldiers moved with deadly precision, cutting through anyone in their way. Ethan's mind raced. He had seen a lot of danger in his life, but this felt different. This felt like the end. They reached the escape pod bay, but Ethan froze. There was only one pod left. Its lights blinked, ready to launch. People were rushing toward it, and the alarms warned that the ship would explode in less than a minute. Ethan's stomach sank. He looked at the girl. She was panting, clutching her bag, her eyes wide. The pod could only hold one more person. He swallowed hard. He knew what he had to do. "You take it," he said, grabbing her arm gently. "I'll be fine, you need to go," she shook her head. "No, you can't, this is your chance, you have to get out." Ethan smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. "I can help people stay behind. I'm trained for that. You might not get another chance, take it, please." The girl stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. Her trembling hand reached for the pod's controls. Ethan guided her inside, making sure she was secure. The pod's door slid closed. She looked back at him through the small window. I don't even know your name," she said, her voice breaking. The colony was quiet again, but the air was full of energy. Humans worked together, repairing buildings, fixing machines, and cleaning the damage left by the alien attack. Leora moved through the streets, helping where she could, her violet eyes scanning everything. She had fought alongside humans for the first time, and she understood their strength in a new way. Courage, intelligence, and teamwork made them unstoppable. Ethan worked nearby, repairing a hover vehicle that had been damaged during the battle. Sweat dripped from his forehead, but he smiled as he watched humans moving with purpose around him. He glanced at Leora, who was helping a group lift heavy equipment. She moved with grace, confidence, and precision. The girl he had saved 8 years ago had become a remarkable woman. "You know," Ethan said, standing beside her, "I never imagined we'd survive that attack. Not without you." Leora smiled. "And I never imagined I'd be fighting alongside humans like this." "You inspire people, Ethan. You inspired me." He shook his head. "I just do what I have to do. Humans survive because we adapt, because we think, because we never give up. That's all." Leora's eyes shone. "It's more than that. You inspire hope. You make people believe they can survive, even when everything seems lost. Ethan looked at her quietly, touched by her words. He had never thought of himself as a hero. He had only acted because it was necessary, because lives depended on him. But hearing it from Leora, someone who owed her life to him, made his chest swell with a quiet pride. They worked together through the morning, repairing buildings, helping humans move supplies, and checking the colony's defenses. The aliens might be gone for now, but the universe was full of danger. They needed to be ready. Leora had learned this lesson during her years alone in space, and Ethan had learned it through experience. Together, they made a strong team. By midday, the repairs were almost complete. Humans moved with energy and hope, inspired by the victory and the teamwork they had displayed. Leora watched a group of children playing near the plaza, laughing despite the damage. She remembered the fear she had felt as a girl trapped on the starship, unsure if she would survive. Seeing these children safe and happy filled her with warmth. Ethan joined her, holding a small toolbox. "We did it," he said quietly. "Not just surviving, we won. Together." Leora nodded. "Humans are incredible. I've seen so many worlds, so many species, but none are like you. You survive against impossible odds because you never give up. You fight with your brains, your courage, and your hearts." Ethan smiled. "We survive because we have to. We protect those we care about, that's what matters." She looked at him, a soft smile on her lips. "I care about you, Ethan. I never stopped." Ethan felt his heart race. "And I care about you," he said. "You survived because of me, and I'm glad you did. I never gave up hope that you would come back." They stood together in silence, watching humans work, feeling the quiet satisfaction of survival and teamwork. The threat had passed, but the lessons remained. Humans had shown their ingenuity, courage, and ability to adapt. They had survived against stronger and more advanced enemies because they used their minds and hearts, not just their weapons. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the colony, Leora and Ethan walked to the edge of the settlement. The sky was filled with stars, and a small breeze rustled through the metal structures. Leora held the charm Ethan had given her years ago, feeling the connection that had guided her across space. "I promised I would come back," she said softly. "And I did. I kept that promise." "You did," Ethan said. "And you've changed everything. You've shown all of us that courage and hope can survive even the hardest trials." Leora smiled. "It's not just me, it's humans too. You inspire that courage in others. I've seen it, I've lived it." Ethan nodded. "We do what we have to, and we fight for each other. That's what humans are." Leora looked at him, her eyes shining with admiration. "And that's why I came back. You saved my life, Ethan. And now I will fight by your side for you, for humans, for this colony, and for the future." Ethan reached for her hand. "Then we fight together," he said, "no matter what comes next." The days that followed were filled with rebuilding, planning, and training. Leora and Ethan worked together, combining human ingenuity with her alien knowledge. They repaired hover vehicles, improved the colony's defenses, and trained humans to adapt and survive. Each day, they grew stronger as a team, earning the respect and admiration of the colony. Leora taught the humans new strategies, showing them ways to use their environment, think creatively, and stay ahead of danger. She shared her experiences traveling across the stars, surviving against odds that seemed impossible. Humans listened, learning quickly, inspired by her skills and her story. Ethan focused on practical solutions, using simple tools and clever ideas to improve the colony's systems. He rigged machines to work faster, created clever traps for potential threats, and organized the humans to act efficiently. Together, they built a community that was stronger than before, ready to face the universe's challenges. One evening, after a long day of work, Ethan and Leora sat on a hill overlooking the colony. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The humans below moved with purpose, repairing, building, and preparing for the future. Leora leaned on Ethan's shoulder. "I never imagined I would find a place like this," she said. "A place where humans survive, grow, and inspire others. And I never imagined I would find you again." Ethan smiled, his hand resting gently on hers. "I never stopped hoping you would return, and now you have. Together we can make this place strong. Together we can protect each other." Leora's eyes shone. "And I will stay. I promised, and I always keep my promises." Ethan nodded. "And we'll face whatever comes next. Humans survive, Leora, and now we'll survive together." The colony thrived under their guidance. Humans rebuilt faster than anyone expected, using their creativity, courage, and determination. Leora's alien knowledge improved their technology and strategies, making the colony stronger and smarter. Together, humans and Leora had created a community capable of surviving almost anything. As months passed, Ethan and Leora became inseparable. They trained together, fought together, and planned together. Their bond was deeper than friendship. They understood each other, respected each other, and trusted each other completely. One morning, as the sun rose over the colony, Ethan and Leora watched a group of children playing in the plaza. They laughed and ran, unaware of the dangers of the universe, safe for the first time. Leora smiled, remembering her own years of fear and loneliness. She had survived, and now she could help others live and grow without fear. Ethan looked at her and smiled. "You've done so much, Leora, not just for me but for everyone here. You've changed this place." Leora shook her head. "No, you humans changed me. You gave me courage, hope, and strength. I only returned what you gave me." Ethan laughed softly. "Then we're even. Humans survive because we inspire each other, and now we'll inspire others too." Together they walked through the colony, hand in hand, watching humans move with energy, hope, and determination. The battle was over, but the lessons remained. Humans had shown their ingenuity, courage, and ability to adapt. They had survived against impossible odds, and they would continue to do so. And Leora knew, deep in her heart, that she had found her place. She had survived the stars, repaid her debt, and now belonged with the humans who had inspired her. She had found Ethan, and together they would face the future. One evening, under a sky filled with stars, Leora held the small charm Ethan had given her all those years ago. She looked at him and smiled. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything." Ethan took her hand. "No. Thank you for coming back, for surviving, for showing us what courage and hope really mean." They stood together, looking at the stars above, feeling the quiet strength of their bond. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but for the first time they felt truly ready. Humans had survived before, and now, with Leora by their side, they could face anything. The stars twinkled above, silent witnesses to courage, hope, and the power of promises kept. 8 years of waiting, surviving, and dreaming had led to this moment. And Ethan and Leora knew that together, they could face the universe and whatever challenges it brought. Human ingenuity, courage, and determination had once again proven unstoppable. And one small act of kindness, a human giving a seat in an escape pod, had created a bond that changed everything. The colony was safe, humans thrived, and Leora had found her home. Together, she and Ethan looked to the future, ready to explore, protect, and inspire. The universe was theirs to face, and they would do it together. For the first time in 8 long years, Leora felt completely at peace. She had survived, returned, and found the one person who mattered most. And together, she and Ethan knew they could face whatever the stars had in store. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night. The universe was vast, dangerous, and full of unknowns. But human courage, determination, and the bond between two lives could overcome almost anything. Ethan looked at Leora, smiling softly. "Are you ready for whatever comes next?" She nodded. "Always with you." And together, under the stars, Humans and their allies prepared for the adventures that lay ahead, their hearts full of courage, hope, and the unbreakable bond between two lives forever changed by one small act of kindness. "Ethan Carter," he said, giving her a reassuring smile. "And you are Leora," she whispered. "Leora, remember this," Ethan said, holding up his hand in a small wave. "Stay alive. One day maybe we'll meet again." Her eyes filled with tears. "I promise," she said, her voice trembling. Then the pod's engines roared to life, and it shot away from the dying starship. Ethan stayed behind. He ran deeper into the ship, helping other crew members escape, directing them to other pods, using his knowledge of the ship to keep as many people alive as he could. The ship's walls shook violently as the aliens continued their attack. He could hear the sound of metal ripping, fires breaking out, and the cries of those who didn't make it. Ethan didn't stop. He worked tirelessly, fixing doors, redirecting power, and guiding people to safety. Every time he thought he was done, another alarm would sound, another explosion would shake the ship, and more people would need his help. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the corridors fell silent. Smoke filled the halls and the ship's hull groaned. Ethan stood in the middle of the escape pod bay, breathing heavily, looking at the empty space where the last pod had been. Leora was gone, safe, alive. He smiled, though it was weak and tired. He had done what he came to do. Then the ship shook violently, throwing him to the ground. The alarms blared one last time. The ship's core was about to detonate. Ethan looked out the viewport. The stars were distant, cold, and uncaring. He could see the alien ships pulling away, leaving the wreckage of his home behind. He thought of Leora, alone in that small pod, hurtling through space. He hoped she would remember him, hoped she would stay alive, hoped. The explosion came, a brilliant light that consumed everything. Ethan braced himself, closing his eyes. He felt weightless, then heavy, then nothing. Somewhere in the darkness of space, Leora's pod drifted. She held onto the small token Ethan had given her, a simple human trinket, a small charm shaped like a star. She clutched it tightly, whispering his name. "Ethan, I'll survive. I promise." The pod's engines hummed as it moved away from the burning remains of the ship. Leora stared out at the stars, feeling the emptiness around her. She was alone, yes, but alive. She had a chance to live, to learn, to grow, and one day maybe she could repay the debt she owed to the human who saved her life. 8 years passed. In that time, Leora grew from a frightened girl into a capable, confident young woman. She learned to pilot the pod, to navigate the stars, to survive in the cold emptiness of space. She studied human ways, admiring their courage, their creativity, their stubbornness in the face of impossible odds. She never forgot Ethan. Every night she looked at the small charm he had given her, and every night she whispered a promise. "I will come back. I will find you." Meanwhile, back on Earth and among the human colonies, Ethan was believed to have died in the explosion. His name was honored in memorials, stories told of his bravery and sacrifice. No one knew he had survived, drifting through space on a damaged lifeboat, living day by day on a small, barren planet. He survived on ingenuity, courage, and the simple human will to live. Ethan never forgot Leora either. The memory of the frightened alien girl with luminous eyes haunted him. He had given up his seat to her, and he had no regrets, but he often wondered what had become of her, if she had survived, if she had found her way in the universe. And in the dark of space, two lives were connected by a single act of kindness. One had sacrificed everything. The other had vowed to return that favor. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to human courage and alien gratitude. Time passed, planets moved, and new ships sailed across the void. The universe was vast, but even in its infinite emptiness, the bond between Ethan and Leora remained. Leora tightened her grip on the charm, her violet eyes bright and determined. She whispered once more, "I will come back. I will find you, Ethan Carter." And somewhere far away, Ethan looked at the stars, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. He could not know it yet, but the promise made in that last moment would change everything. The universe had a way of bringing people back together. The memory of that day, the sacrifice, the last look between human and alien, stayed alive in both their hearts. And while the universe moved on, full of danger and uncertainty, one simple truth remained. Human courage could reach across the stars, and one small act of kindness could echo for years, even across the vast emptiness of space. Ethan rose to his feet, brushing off the dust and sweat. He looked at the broken ship around him, the wreckage, the smoke, and he smiled faintly. He had survived. He would continue to survive, and somehow, somewhere, Leora would keep her promise. And that thought was enough to keep him moving forward. Leora floated in the small escape pod, staring at the endless black of space. The stars were bright, cold, and distant. At first, she had been terrified, clinging to the small charm Ethan had given her. But after hours, days, and then months, she realized she had to survive. She had to live not just for herself, but for him. The pod was small, cramped, and simple. It had life support, navigation, and basic systems for survival. Leora spent the first few days checking everything, making sure it worked. She learned to pilot it slowly, pressing buttons, reading screens, and listening to the hum of its engines. Each day, she grew more confident. She survived by thinking. She rationed food and water carefully, using only what she needed. She learned to repair the pod when small systems failed. Sometimes, small meteors hit the hull, leaving dents and scratches, and each time she fixed them herself. Leora learned quickly. She had to. Her mind often returned to Ethan. She remembered his smile, his words, and the look in his eyes before the pod left. He had given her life, and she would not waste it. She touched the small charm he had given her and whispered, "I will come back. I will find you." As months passed, she encountered other ships, other travelers, and even small alien settlements. Some were friendly, others were not. Leora learned to read the signals of danger, to avoid conflict when possible, and to fight only if she had no choice. Each encounter taught her something new. She found herself growing stronger, not just in skill but in confidence. Her body adapted to long hours in the pod, her mind adapted to isolation, and her heart grew steady with purpose. She trained herself every day. She ran simulations in the pod's navigation system, practiced maneuvers, and memorized star charts. She wanted to be ready. If she returned to humans, she wanted to be useful, capable, and strong. One day, she encountered a derelict ship floating near an asteroid belt. Its metal hull was torn, lights dead, and silence surrounded it like a shroud. Leora docked carefully, her hand steady. She floated inside, searching for supplies. Inside, she found small containers of food, water, and medicine. There were logs of crew members, now long gone. Leora read them, feeling the lives that had been lost. She took only what she needed. She always traveled light, always moving forward. But she felt a strange sadness for the lost lives. It reminded her of her own small escape, of Ethan's sacrifice, and of the fragility of life. She touched the charm in her hand and whispered again, "I will come back. I promise." Over the years, she began to understand the larger universe. She watched star systems form, planets rotate, and comets streak across the black. She learned how to use gravitational fields to slingshot her pod, saving energy and traveling faster. She learned to read the signs of life on distant planets, and she learned patience. Survival was not only about strength, it was about thinking, planning, and waiting for the right moment. Her thoughts often returned to humans. She remembered the stories she had overheard when she briefly visited human ships before the attack. Humans were stubborn, brave, and full of ideas. They could survive almost anything because they never gave up. She admired them, but she admired Ethan most of all. Ethan had risked his life for her, a stranger. He had given her a chance when no one else would. That act of courage stayed in her mind every day. Leora promised herself she would repay it. One day she would return to him. One day she would find him, no matter how far he had gone. Years passed. 8 years since that day, and Leora was no longer the frightened girl in the pod. She had grown taller, stronger, and more skilled. Her violet skin had taken on a subtle glow from the pod's lights, and her eyes were sharp, alert, and confident. She could navigate the stars with ease, repair almost any system, and survive in situations most would have died in. But the loneliness was still there. She missed companionship, even a friendly voice over a comm system. She missed sharing her thoughts with someone who understood. Sometimes she spoke to the stars themselves, imagining Ethan listening somewhere. "I'm ready," she whispered. "I'm coming back to you." Leora's chance came sooner than she expected. A small human colony had been established in a nearby star system. Sensors picked up their communications. Ships traveling, people moving, and most importantly, someone matching Ethan's signal patterns. Her heart raced. She had not been certain he had survived all these years, but now she had hope, real hope. She adjusted her pod's course, setting her engines for maximum speed. The stars streaked past her, and she felt the thrill of returning, the pull of a promise kept. She reviewed all her plans, making sure nothing was left to chance. She would need stealth, caution, and speed. Humans were wary of outsiders, even friendly aliens. She had learned that in her years alone. As she approached the human colony, she slowed her pod. She observed from a distance, taking notes on the ship's patrols and structures. She saw humans working, talking, laughing, and moving with energy that only humans had. She felt a strange warmth in her chest. This was the species that had given her life, that had inspired her, and that she owed everything to. Leora prepared to land carefully. She needed to find Ethan without causing alarm, without creating fear. Humans could be cautious, and she understood that. She analyzed patrol patterns and chose a landing spot near the edge of the colony. Her pod touched down softly, making as little noise as possible. She exhaled, steadying herself. She stepped out, her feet on solid ground after years in a pod. The air smelled strange but familiar. The sun, or the star really, was bright, and she shielded her eyes from its light. For a moment she felt small, just a girl again. But that feeling passed. She was Leora, survivor, traveler, and now a visitor with a purpose. Leora moved carefully, using shadows and terrain to her advantage. She observed humans, learning their routines. Some glanced at her curiously, but most ignored her. She needed to reach the command center, the place where signals for Ethan would be strongest. She wanted to confirm he was still alive before risking a direct encounter. Hours passed as she moved through the colony. She found herself near the communications hub, a small building buzzing with lights and machines. Inside, she found data terminals, signals, and charts. She scanned for patterns, heartbeats, and signatures. And there it was, a faint but unmistakable human signal moving slowly across the nearby planet. Ethan was alive. Her heart leapt. All those years of survival, all the training, all the planning, it had led to this moment. She had kept her promise. She had found him. Leora paused, taking a deep breath. She knew the next step would be difficult. Humans were cautious. Ethan might not recognize her immediately. He might be wary, scared, or even angry, but she had prepared for that. She had trained, learned, and grown strong. She would approach carefully, showing him she was a friend, a survivor, and a debt repaid. That night she stayed hidden, observing the colony and the surrounding terrain. Stars twinkled above, and the planet's twin moons cast pale light on the landscape. Leora thought about the past 8 years, every challenge, every lonely day, and every moment of learning. She had survived because of a human's kindness. Now she would return that kindness, face whatever came, and see Ethan again. As the hours passed, Leora felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Fear of rejection, fear of danger, and fear of the unknown. excitement at the promise of reunion, at the thought of finally seeing Ethan again, and at the chance to repay the debt she had carried for 8 long years. Finally, she made her decision. She would leave the shadows. She would approach him carefully, slowly, with respect and caution. Every step had to be measured, every movement deliberate. She was not a frightened girl anymore. She was Leora, the one he had saved, the one who had survived, and the one who had come back. And somewhere in the quiet of the colony, Ethan Carter lived his simple, steady life. He did not know that the girl he had saved years ago was coming back. He did not know that one act of kindness had survived time, distance, and danger, traveling across the stars to reach him. But soon he would, and soon his life would change forever. Leora took a step forward, her violet eyes bright, her hands steady. She held the small charm close to her heart, feeling the connection that had guided her across space. She whispered to herself one last time before moving fully into the open. "I have come back. I am here, and I will find you, Ethan Carter." The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if the universe itself was watching. The promise of a reunion, the strength of human courage, and the loyalty of a life saved were all converging on one moment. Leora's journey had carried her far, but her path was clear now. She would find him. Leora crouched behind a low ridge just outside the human colony. The settlement was quiet now, the workers moving steadily about, unaware of the small, violet-skinned figure watching from the shadows. She had studied their routines for hours, learning when the patrols moved, which paths were clear, and how to avoid unnecessary attention. She was close now, very close. Her violet eyes scanned the area. The colony was a mix of metal and glass buildings, connected by paths and small roads. Small hover vehicles moved back and forth, carrying supplies and people. Humans walked in groups, chatting or working alone, their voices carrying over the hum of machinery. Leora felt a strange excitement at seeing them again, even after all these years. She remembered Ethan's bravery, his smile, and the way he had given her a chance to live. Now she had a chance to see him again. Careful not to be seen, Leora moved toward the colony. She had prepared for this moment for years, practicing her approach, thinking through every possible reaction. Humans were cautious. They could be kind, but they could also be suspicious of strangers, especially ones who looked as different as she did. She needed to show that she was not a threat. She paused near the edge of the main plaza, watching the humans go about their work. Some were laughing, others were focused, and some looked tired from long shifts. Leora's heart ached a little at the sight. She had spent 8 years alone, traveling across the stars, surviving in cold and isolation. Humans moved together, sharing life in ways she had missed. She touched the small charm Ethan had given her, keeping it close to her chest. "Soon," she whispered. "I will see you soon, Ethan." Her plan was simple. She would first try to find anyone who knew Ethan, anyone who could point her in his direction. Then she would approach him carefully, slowly, and respectfully. She could not rush. She had survived 8 years because she had patience. She could wait a little longer to make sure this meeting went right. She moved from shadow to shadow, avoiding the main roads and patrols. Her steps were light, practiced, and careful. She paused near a small building that seemed to serve as a local communication hub. Inside, she could see humans working on data terminals, moving quickly and efficiently. Leora slipped inside through a side entrance, unnoticed. Once inside, she accessed a small terminal. Her alien technology allowed her to interface with the human systems easily. She scanned the records for anyone named Ethan Carter. Her heart leapt when she found a match. A human living on the outskirts of the colony, working as a mechanic and engineer, helping maintain vehicles and machines. Leora smiled softly. She had found him. 8 years of searching, traveling, surviving, and learning had led her to this moment. She memorized his location and planned her approach. Leaving the hub quietly, she moved toward the outskirts of the colony. The sun, or rather the planet's bright star, was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the landscape. Leora used the shadows to her advantage, keeping herself hidden from casual observers. She felt a mixture of fear and excitement. What if he did not recognize her? What if he thought she was dangerous? What if he had moved on? But she pushed the thoughts aside. She had survived this long. She had overcome every obstacle, every danger. She could face whatever came next. Ethan Carter worked alone in a small workshop on the edge of the colony. The building was modest, made of metal sheets and glass windows. Tools hung on the walls, and the smell of oil and metal filled the air. He was adjusting a hover engine, focused and calm, unaware of the visitor outside. Leora watched him from the shadows, studying his movements. He had changed, of course. 8 years had added lines to his face and silver streaks to his hair. But his posture, the way he worked with his hands, the quiet determination in his movements, all of it was the same Ethan she had remembered. Her heart pounded. She wanted to call out to him, to run forward, to throw herself into his arms, but she restrained herself. Patience. Caution, respect. She would not scare him. She waited until the workshop was empty of other humans. Then she stepped closer, staying just out of sight, watching him work. She noticed the small charm on his workbench, a tool he had used every day, and for a moment she imagined he was thinking of her too. Finally, she decided it was time. Slowly, carefully, she stepped into the light. Her hands were visible, empty, and open. Her voice was soft but clear. "Ethan Carter," she said. Ethan froze, his tools falling from his hands. He turned quickly, eyes wide. "Who's there?" he asked, his voice tense. Leora stepped fully into the light, holding the charm close to her chest. "It's me, Leora," she said softly. "Do you remember me?" For a moment, Ethan could not speak. He stared at her, taking in the violet skin, the luminous eyes, and the small figure of the girl he had saved 8 years ago. His heart pounded in his chest. Could it be? Was it really her? The girl he had given his seat to, the one who had promised to survive. "Leora," he finally whispered, stepping closer. "Is it really you?" "Yes," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "It's me. I promised I would come back, and I have." Ethan felt a rush of emotions, relief, joy, disbelief, and a deep, aching happiness. He took a careful step forward. You survived?" he asked, his voice breaking. "I did," Leora said. "I survived because of you. You gave me a chance, and I never forgot it. I promised I would return, and I have." Ethan reached out slowly, his hand trembling. Leora met him halfway, and their hands touched. It was a small, gentle touch, but it carried years of longing, years of separation, and years of unspoken promises. "I can't believe it," Ethan whispered. 8 years, you actually kept your promise." "I did," Leora said, smiling through her tears. "I kept it every day. I trained, I survived, I traveled across the stars, and now I'm here." They stood in silence for a moment, just looking at each other. Ethan studied her face, her eyes, the way she held herself. She had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. But she was still the same girl he had saved, the one who had touched his heart all those years ago. "I don't even know what to say," Ethan admitted finally. I thought I would never see you again." "You don't need to say anything," Leora said. "I'm here, that's enough." They sat down on a nearby bench, the workshop behind them and the colony quiet around them. Leora told Ethan about her journey, the years of survival, the challenges she faced, and the lessons she learned. She told him about the planets she had seen, the people she had met, and the small victories that kept her alive. Ethan listened in amazement. He could hardly believe the courage and strength of this small alien girl, the same girl he had once saved. He felt proud, humbled, and deeply moved. You became incredible," he said finally. "I never imagined you would do all this." "I had to," Leora said softly. "Because of you, you gave me a chance, Ethan. You gave me life. I had to honor that." Ethan reached out and took her hand again. "And you have. You've honored it more than I could have imagined." They talked for hours, sharing memories, laughter, and stories. The sun began to set, casting a warm, orange glow over the colony. The moment felt timeless, a small island of peace in a world full of chaos and danger. But even in their joy, Leora and Ethan knew the universe was still a dangerous place. They could not forget the threats that had destroyed her ship, that had attacked the humans, that had taken so much from them. And they knew that together, they would need to face new challenges, dangers that could come from the stars at any moment. For now, though, they simply sat together, hands touching, hearts beating in quiet relief. 8 years of separation, of fear, of loneliness had ended, and they had found each other again. Leora looked at Ethan, her violet eyes shining. "I never stopped thinking about you," she said. "Never, and now I'm here. Together we can face whatever comes next." Ethan smiled, a mixture of relief, joy, and pride in his heart. "Yes," he said, "together." The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that evening. The universe was vast, full of danger and uncertainty, but for this small moment, human courage and alien gratitude had brought two lives together again. And as they sat side by side, hands clasped, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. 8 years of waiting, surviving, and hoping had led to this moment, and neither Ethan nor Leora would ever forget it. The night was quiet in the human colony. Ethan and Leora sat in the small workshop, talking softly about the past and the future. The stars twinkled overhead, and for a while the world felt safe. But safety was fragile, especially in space. Leora had barely rested when alarms began to ring through the colony. The lights flashed red, warning everyone of incoming danger. Ethan jumped to his feet. "What is it?" he shouted. "They're here," Leora said, her violet eyes narrowing. "The same faction that attacked my ship. They tracked me here." Ethan's heart raced. "How many?" he asked. Leora studied the sensors. "Too many to fight directly. They are fast, armed, and well-trained, but we have a chance if we act smart." Humans in the colony began to run, shouting warnings, trying to organize defenses. Ethan grabbed a toolkit and began examining the small hover vehicles. He looked at the colony's energy systems, the walls, and the communication towers. Every human around him moved quickly, taking instructions and preparing for the attack. "They'll hit the colony from the north," Leora said. "I saw their scouts. They don't know how strong we are, but they will find out fast." Ethan's mind raced. He began giving orders, directing humans to reinforce weak points, set up traps, and prepare emergency supplies. "Use what you have," he shouted. "Anything that can slow them down. Don't wait for weapons to arrive. Think, adapt, and fight smart." Humans rushed to follow his instructions. They moved barrels, set up makeshift barricades, and rigged machines to create obstacles. Leora watched in awe as Ethan's mind worked. He took ordinary tools, simple equipment, and the colony's limited technology, and turned them into clever weapons and defenses. "Humans are amazing," Leora whispered to herself. "He's amazing." Outside, the alien fleet approached. Sleek, dark ships hovered in the sky, scanning for targets. They were faster, more powerful, and heavily armed. The humans were outnumbered and outgunned, but Ethan didn't panic. He ran along the barricades, checking each trap, adjusting every plan. The first ships reached the colony, firing energy beams. Walls shook, sparks flew, and alarms screamed. Leora jumped into action, using her alien technology to create shields and disrupt the enemy scanners. The humans followed Ethan's instructions, moving quickly to defend themselves. One small alien drone landed near a supply depot, ready to destroy it. Ethan grabbed a simple cable, twisted it, and rigged a small device. When the drone approached, it triggered the trap, sending sparks and smoke into its systems. The drone faltered, giving humans a chance to destroy it. Leora watched in amazement. "You're incredible," she said. Ethan smiled, though the fear in his eyes was real. "It's not me," he said. "It's humans. We survive because we adapt. We fight because we have to. That's all." The alien fleet moved closer, realizing that the humans were not as easy to defeat as they thought. Leora and Ethan coordinated their defenses. She used her knowledge of alien technology to jam communications and disrupt targeting systems. Ethan used human creativity to improvise weapons and traps. Together, they formed a force stronger than either alone. One of the alien ships tried to land near the colony center. Ethan quickly directed humans to rig a series of wires and small explosives. When the ship touched down, the traps activated, sending it spinning out of control. The humans cheered, though their victory was small. More enemies were coming. Leora saw a large ship hovering above, ready to fire on the colony. "We can't stop it from the ground," she said. "We need to attack it in the air." Ethan nodded. "I have an idea. Small craft makeshift weapons, we can lure it into a trap." Humans and Leora worked together, modifying hover vehicles, adding shields and energy disruptors. They moved quickly, guided by Ethan's knowledge and Leora's alien tech. The plan was risky. If it failed, the colony would be destroyed. But humans were brave and they trusted Ethan. The attack began. Leora led a group of hover vehicles, flying toward the large alien ship. Ethan directed the humans from the ground, sending instructions over the comms. The ship fired energy beams, trying to destroy them. But Leora's shields absorbed most of the attacks, while the humans used clever maneuvers to dodge the rest. As they approached, Ethan's trap activated. Explosives set along the landing zone triggered, hitting the ship's engines. Sparks flew, metal bent, and the ship faltered. Leora pressed forward, using her knowledge of alien technology to hack into its systems. The ship's weapons failed and it crashed near the colony edge. Humans cheered. They had won the first battle not by strength but by ingenuity. Ethan's traps, quick thinking, and leadership had turned the odds in their favor. Leora smiled, feeling proud to fight alongside him. The alien fleet, seeing their largest ship destroyed, hesitated. Leora and Ethan knew they could not let the pause last. They needed to show the aliens that humans would not give up. Ethan ran through the colony, organizing humans to attack in small, clever groups. Leora flew above, coordinating strikes, creating confusion, and disrupting enemy movements. One by one, the alien ships fell into traps, misfired, or were destroyed by clever human attacks. The humans fought with energy, with machines, with intelligence. Every time an alien ship thought it had the advantage, humans adapted, creating new strategies on the spot. Leora realized something she had always suspected. Humans were not the strongest species, not the fastest, and not the most advanced. But they had something else. They had creativity, courage, and determination. They could survive impossible odds because they never gave up. Ethan noticed Leora watching him. He smiled, though the battle raged on. "We fight smart," he said. "Brains and courage beat strength and weapons every time." Leora nodded, feeling a deep respect for him and his people. Together they led the humans in a counterattack, turning the tide of battle. Alien ships were falling, retreating, or being disabled. The colony, which had seemed doomed, was now safe. Hours passed. The last alien ship retreated into the stars, leaving the humans victorious. The colony was battered, some buildings damaged, and there were a few injuries. But humans survived and the alien threat had been defeated, at least for now. Ethan looked around at the people, proud and exhausted. "You did it," he said. "Everyone did it. This is what humans do. We survive, we fight, we protect each other." Leora landed near him, her eyes bright with admiration. "You're amazing," she said. "I knew humans were brave, but I never realized you're clever too. You don't just fight, you think, you win with your mind." Ethan shrugged. "We do what we have to do. Humans survive because we adapt, that's all. Anyone can do it if they try." Leora smiled. "Not everyone can do it like you. You inspire others to be brave, that's rare. That's human courage at its best." They walked through the colony, checking for damage, helping humans and repairing systems. The battle had shown that humans were capable of incredible things when pushed to their limits. Leora felt proud to stand beside them, proud to have survived because of one human, and now proud to fight alongside them. The sun rose the next day, casting light on a colony that had survived against impossible odds. Humans moved about their tasks, repairing, rebuilding, and preparing for whatever came next. Leora and Ethan worked together, helping, teaching, and planning. "They'll be back," Leora said quietly. Ethan nodded. "Maybe, but we'll be ready. Humans don't give up. We survive no matter what comes." Leora touched the small charm he had given her years ago. "And I'll be here too, I promised. You saved me once. I won't let anyone harm you or your people if I can help it." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of connection. "You kept your promise, and you fought like a human, brave, clever, and unstoppable." They stood together, looking at the colony. The battle had tested them, pushed them to the limits, and shown the strength of human ingenuity. Leora realized that humans were remarkable not just because of their strength, but because of their courage, their creativity, and their ability to work together even when hope seemed lost. The alien threat was gone for now, but the universe was full of dangers. Ethan and Leora knew that new challenges would come, but they were ready. Humans and aliens working together could overcome almost anything. And for the first time in 8 years, Leora felt completely at home. She had returned, repaid her debt, and fought alongside the humans who had inspired her. She knew that the future would be difficult, but she also knew that together they could face it. Ethan turned to her, smiling. "You came back," he said simply. "I did," she said. "And I'll stay. Together we'll face whatever comes next." The stars above seemed to shine brighter that morning. The universe was dangerous, but with courage, intelligence, and determination, humans and those who trusted them could survive anything. The battle had shown that. And as Ethan and Leora prepared the colony for the future, they knew one simple truth. Human courage was unstoppable, and one small act of kindness, one human giving a seat in an escape pod, had started it all.